people haven't been paying attention to, but now are. It involves Maryland's 6th Congressional District race. Let's talk more about that with Mica Soellner from Punchbowl News, up late with me tonight here, once again on the Final Five. Mica, good to see you as always.
Great to be here.
Okay, so you had some reporting out about a race that the seat has gone Democratic. David Trone holds it right now. He gave up the seat to run for Senate. It's not always been an easy race for Democrats, but they've always prevailed. There's some hand wringing right now on the Democratic side.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a race that really hasn't really been on the radar for very long. This is not one of the toss-up races that are closely being nationally watched, like many other races in swing districts. And this is actually a Democratic-leaning district. But senior Democrats and Democrats close in Maryland circles have kind of privately complained about the candidate quality they see in April Delaney, their candidate, their nominee. So they're suggesting that this race is actually going to be a lot closer than they hope for.
And they both candidates came out of very I don't want to say very contested primaries, but there was a large field on both the Democratic and Republican sides, and it was very hard fought throughout the process. You mentioned April McClain Delaney. Many people know that her husband, John Delaney, formerly held that seat a number of years ago. She has worked in the Commerce Department. Neil Parrott on the Republican side. This is his third time running for the seat, his third nomination. He's a former state lawmaker. It looks like Delaney's been leaning in on issues about abortion. For Parrott, leaning in on the economy.
Yeah, I mean, I think these are two issues that have really come across campaigns, both on the Democratic side. There are, a lot of Democrats up and down the ballot are running on abortion all across the country. Republicans very focused on the message of the economy and inflation. But what's interesting about this race is that, Neil Parrott, who has ran before in that district and lost to David Trone twice, I believe. He is definitely more conservative than a standard, other Republicans in Congress. He's endorsed by the conservative House Freedom Caucus, who, has campaigned and funneled money heavily into that race. And I want to mention really quick that the chair of the Freedom Caucus, Andy Harris, is another Maryland representative, the only Republican from the state.
Yeah, and Andy Harris and Neil Parrott are not the kind of Larry Hogan Republicans that have done quite well in the state. But we're not looking statewide. We're looking at these districts. And when you look at that 6th district, that encompasses a very rural part of Maryland, as well as making its way into Montgomery County. So it really is not, it's not a slam dunk by any stretch of the imagination. But Parrott has some polling out saying he's up 4 points.
Yeah, that's certainly true. And I think another indicator of how Republicans are viewing this race as actually, becoming a little bit closer is he got the endorsement of the entire GOP House leadership this past week. And actually, Majority Leader Steve Scalise will be going out to campaign for him next week. So that is, with 2 weeks away, 2 weeks with the election away, I think these resources are vital. And so leadership is not going to go out to races that they don't see as potential pickup opportunities.
Yeah, and again, this is one of those races where Parrott, a two-time nominee, two-time failed nominee, let's call it what it is. It doesn't usually seem to be the third time's the charm in many situations like this, but with that short time frame between now and election day, there are already ballots that will be cast soon. It's very likely that they're seeing something there. There's certainly something in the numbers that has this race tightening up.
Yeah, I mean, this has very much been a sleeper race, I would say, all cycle. But now I think that now it's picking up and there's a lot of interest. And I think, a lot of Democrats are nervous about it, but I think that it's still pretty much favored potentially in their direction. Yeah. But it really is going to depend on turnout. And, we'll see if anything changes in the next 2 weeks.
One more thing I want to ask you, because something we heard quite a bit in the past when it comes to congressional races on the national level, candidate quality. And that was more used on the Republican side in a lot of these races where they nominated more extreme candidates and they lost seats that should have been a pickup opportunity. We don't usually hear that on the Democratic side. What are you hearing in terms of candidate quality when it comes to April McClain Delaney?
The biggest complaints I have heard is that she's not putting enough money into her campaign. I know that her husband often self-funded his congressional runs and his brief presidential run, as well as the fact that she's just not out in the district very much. She is running solely on name ID. These are complaints that I've heard from Democrats about the kind of candidate that she is. She's running pretty much a standard kind of new Democrat style campaign, which is a little bit more centrist, vowing to work in a bipartisan manner, very moderate. So something that would definitely appeal and kind of follow David Trone as he was a member of Congress.
Well, and as we saw in some of these candidate forums, things are quite contentious between Mrs. Delaney and Mr. Parrott. But we were going to watch this race. So will you, Mica Soellner with Punchbowl News. Always good to see you. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having me.
And the Final Five is back after this.